Well, hello, school counselors and school counselors to be. Thank you guys so much for coming to my channel, The Inspiring School Counselor. And today we're going to be talking about the hardest thing about being a new school counselor. And I'm actually going to put that in air quotes because really you don't have to be a new school counselor to experience these things. Because I look at myself, even though I'm going on 5 years into this thing, even with me just moving to a new school district, it was as if I was coming in as a new school counselor because there's so many things that you have to adapt to. So we're going to be getting into this. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. All right, y'all, let's get into it. Now, this is not in any specific order, just to let you guys know. One of the hardest things whenever you're coming in as a new school counselor, especially if you are the only school counselor at the school, is that you will get faculty and staff that might try to compare you to the former school counselor that was there, okay? And that can be a good thing or that could be a bad thing. Many times you will get where faculty and staff feel like you should operate a certain way or that you should do certain things, and so they will compare you to that. I actually remember whenever I was first coming in as a new school counselor at the primary school, and I just really, you could really tell that the faculty and staff, not all of them, but some of them, they were kind of like, I would say not on the edge, but you could tell like there was not a good relationship with the school counselor prior. And so with that being said, whenever I was coming into it, it was kind of like, okay, are you just going to be implementing stuff? Even with this past school year, with me coming into this new school district, I even still yet dealt with that where because the school counselor that was there before me was there for so long, a lot of the faculty and staff got used to, the different things that, she did. And so with that, whenever I was coming in, two of the teachers that came to me and was like, hey, are you going to do this? Because, this is what she did before. And they would kind of throw like little things in there. And obviously, I totally get it, especially when you're dealing with someone that's been there for such a long time and, them having to adapt to now somebody new. So I will always hear them out. And then I would assure them that either I am going to do that is something that I actually am going to do, or no, that's something that I'm not going to do. So I'm doing things a little bit different. So sometimes you might just have to just be honest with them and let them know, hey, I'm not that individual. I actually had one of the teachers come to me because there was a lot of the students that really love coming to me for counseling or just to talk. And so one of the teachers came up and they were like, I know that the school counselor before you has really gave them the tools for them to handle conflicts and different things that arise. And so I always try to remind them. And with that teacher coming to me with that, I reassured that teacher that, hey, I'm open for them to come, even though we feel like they do have the tools, but yet they are kids. So they're going to be continually learning. And so that's kind of how I dealt with that situation. But I do want you guys to be aware that whenever you're coming in is to find your own way and don't succumb to others' expectations of what they feel like you should and you should not be doing, okay? Obviously, be open to constructive criticism, talk to your administrator, but just know you do have some teachers or some faculty and staff that will try to bully their way through and try to tell you what you should and should not be doing. So just keep that in mind. And that will segue into the next thing that I want to bring up to you guys is that it can be really easy, especially when you're coming in as a new school counselor, to want to please everyone, okay? And so teachers might be asking you to do certain things, or the administrator might ask you to do certain things, and yes, you might want to do that to kind of build that relationship with them or let them know that, hey, they can depend on you, but you have to really consider your time, the things that you have to do, and also whether or not that is even within your profession, okay? Should you be doing scheduling for the whole school? That is something that's not in your profession, okay? And so that might not be something that you should do. Now, I will say this. Obviously, whenever you're going into like maybe a higher school level, so maybe like high school, school counselors are looked upon as doing scheduling. So you also have to keep that in mind. As a school district, what do they already have school counselors doing? Once again, you will have individuals that will try to come because they know you're new. because they know that you're still learning things, because they feel like, okay, because you're still learning things, I can kind of throw different things in there. You just have to be aware and have that understanding. And that's why I think it's so important that if you do have an opportunity to talk to the former school counselor to kind of get a feel of things and how they run things, that's also good. If it is that you can befriend like a faculty or staff at the school that can kind of give you the ins and outs of what's going on or what to expect, if you can talk to your administrator, that's good to do as well. As a new school counselor, it can be hard to build relationships with students, okay? And just build that trust with students. It will depend on what school level that you're working with. I don't know, now I've been working with elementary, like the primary, pre-K through second grade, and this year I've been with pre-K through fifth grade. It seems like, and I find it so easy to build that rapport, build that relationship, that trust with the students that are in that elementary setting, because they're just so pure and open, and they want to get to know you. They want to build relationships with you. But you will come to find whenever you are coming in as a new school counselor, when you're working with the higher levels like middle school and high school, it can be a little bit harder. For one, your schedule might not even, open you up to be able to build relationships with students, because you are scheduling or you are doing, just different things that just doesn't allow you to get out and talk to your students. The only time that you might talk to the students is if they come to your office or if you are fixing their schedules. And so those could be the times where it can be hard, but you really have to talk to the administrator, see if you can talk to the faculty and staff, see if you can push in the classrooms to build that relationship with them. Maybe even leave your office to go to the cafeteria to talk to some of the students. Another hard thing can be about coming in as a new school counselor is learning how to balance or navigate the different roles that you might have, okay? So when I remember coming in as a new school counselor, I was the 504 coordinator. I was on the leadership team. I also had to lead different events, reach out to the community, talk to parents, do individual counseling, small groups, as well as lessons. And so there's all these different type of things that was coming my way. Coming in, just know that you might have multiple roles and you can do it. You can definitely do it. You might make mistakes, all right? You might drop the ball a couple of times, but be open. And hopefully your administrator is open to that as well. Hopefully the faculty and staff is open to that as well. And knowing that you are new and you're coming in and you're trying to learn things. But y'all, don't be afraid to remind them, okay? Because I have done that plenty of times where I would either be in a 504 meeting and I might be stuck on something, and I let them know quick, like, hey, y'all, I'm still trying to get used to this program, or I'm still trying to get used to this area of the 504, so please bear with me. And so don't be afraid to kind of just throw that out there, okay? I'm new. I'm trying to figure it out, but I will get it, okay? And talking about balancing different roles, that leads me to my next point, is that you have to be flexible, okay? And that can be one of the hardest things coming in as a new school counselor, is just being flexible. And I will say this might also depend on the school district you're in, whether you're at a private school or a public school or a charter school. This can also depend on what administrator you have, because maybe you are a school counselor that you are not, flexible. Maybe you have that set schedule because all you're doing is teaching lessons all day, because you are a part of the special area or the related arts rotation. So this might not apply to you, but once again, if you can advocate for yourself, because I truly believe teaching lessons all day as a school counselor, that you should be doing so much more than that, okay? Unless you really love that, okay? So you might not have to say anything, okay, if you love that. But if you want to be an effective school counselor, then teaching lessons is not the only thing that you should be doing. But it is important for you to just be open and to be flexible, because one minute you can be teaching a class, but they also might call you because maybe there was a student that, had suicidal ideation and you have to do a protocol on that. Or maybe it is you have a parent that is really needing to talk to you and you were just doing individual counseling, but that because that parent has something very important and the principal wants you in on it as well, you might have to stop that individual counseling session and call that student back up. Or maybe it is that you were set to do a lesson, but yet maybe you have to do emergency 504. Whatever the case is, you just have to be flexible, okay? And so that's something to keep in mind. You can say like you have a routine, but if you're being used the way that you should be used, then you kind of don't have a routine, like your everyday does not look the same. But I will say this, you will get to that place where you will kind of find your way and kind of know, okay, during this time, this is usually the time when I am free. And so I am going to be doing this during that time. Or this is the time where I'm going to be able to do my individual counseling session. So as you're going along, you are going to be able to build somewhat of a routine, but once again, be open to flexibility. Another hard thing can be when coming in as a new school counselor, especially if your school counseling program did not really focus on this. For one, coming up with lessons, okay? Coming up with lessons, being able to teach those lessons, and being able to find lessons that's going to effectively impact the school or impact the students so that you can see growth, okay? And let me tell you guys, you don't even have to just be a new school counselor. Y'all, I'm still learning that. I'm still trying to find ways that making sure that my lessons that I'm teaching is affecting the students in a positive way to where we can see growth, okay? And so that can be something that you're going to be continually learning to do and adapting, okay? Even learning classroom management, because even if you are not really in the classroom, maybe you're not always teaching lessons, but yet you are going to be going in and out of the classrooms maybe once or twice a month, you still have to learn good class management skills so that they are able to get the information that you're teaching and apply it, okay? And so those are things that you can kind of figure out and learn as you go. But if you are a new school counselor and you know that you're going to be teaching lessons, I would really highly recommend for you guys to really try to figure out, okay, what do you want that to look like? What do you want class management to look like? Okay. What are your routines that you want the kids to have whenever they're coming into your classroom for lessons? Okay. And so those are different things that you want to keep in mind. Now, I might do a separate video on that because I definitely had to make sure that I had my routine. I had to make sure that my kids knew when you come in this room, this is how things are going to go. Okay. It can be hard to find that balance between work and personal, okay? Especially when you're a new school counselor, all right? Because once again, like I mentioned before, you're wanting to please people, you're wanting to build relationships, you want to do all these different type of things, you're wanting to implement all these different type of things. And so it can be easy to fall in the trap of, taking things home or situations arise with a student and all you're thinking about is that situation with that student because you're wanting to help that student. There can be a lot of crisscross between both of those worlds. So you really want to make sure that you are taking that time to decompress, taking that time to do self-care activities so that you can be able to be effective whenever you're going back to work, and you can also be effective when you're coming home and you're with your family. All right. So I'm sure that is just some of the many things that can be said about the hardest things about being a new school counselor. But just know that it is doable. And if you really feel like this is your passion and this is what you love, you're going to be able to get through it, and you're going to really find that, hey, this ain't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And let me tell you guys, going on 5 years, I absolutely love being a school counselor. I love what I do. And so I hope that you love it just as much, if more, so that you can continue to thrive and make a difference in students' lives. I thank you guys so much for your time. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video.